AWS Solution Architect Associate Databases. ADS, Relational Database Services. A relational database is a bit like giant spreadsheet with tables, rows and fields. Relational databases on AWS can be MS SQL, Oracle, MySQL, PostgreSQL, Amazon Aurora or MariaDB. Two key features: multi-availability zones, for resilience and disaster recovery, and read replicas for performance. Multi-as, in the event of failure AWS will detect and update DNS, redirecting a traffic to an alternate location for the database. In read replica, all writes are replicated to the replica. In the event of failure there is no automatic recovery, EC2 instances would need to be updated to reference the new location. The read replica option is useful to spread read load across the replicas. Configure EC2 instances to connect across the replicas, up to 5 copies of a DB. ADS provisioned IOPS storage with SQL Server, 16 TB ADS volume limit. You can force failover to another availability zone for ADS with a reboot with failover. Non-relational DBs. Collections equals tables, document equals row, key value pairs equals fields/columns. Data warehousing is used for business intelligence. Tools like Cognos, Jaspersoft, SQL Server Reporting Services, Oracle Hyperion, SAP NetWeaver. Used to pull in large and complex datasets. Online transaction processing differs from online analytics processing differs in terms of the queries types run. OLTP will pull up an order number and display all values relevant to it. Olap can pull in a huge number of records, example, profit in a specific region for a specific product range. All orders would need to be queried for location and product, values collated and interpreted. Data warehousing databases use a different type of architecture both from a DB and infrastructure perspective. Dynamodb is Amazon's NoSQL solution. Dynamodb can support binary objects up to 400 kilobits. Dynamodb is automatically replicates across ASs. Redshift is Amazon's data warehousing solution for Olap. Elasticache is a service to deploy, operate and scale an in-memory cache in the cloud. The service improves performance of web applications by allowing retrieval of information from memory caches instead of relying on disks. Elasticache can take a huge load off the database for frequent identical queries. Elasticache supports 2 open-source in-memory caching engines, Memcached and Redis. ADS database create does not give a DB a name by default, meaning you have to use admin tools to connect to add one. Easier just to do it in setup via advanced options. ADS runs on virtual machines, but you do not have access to them for patching or anything else. ADS is not serverless, though there is serverless Aurora. If you want your application to check ADS for an error, have it look for an error node in the response from the Amazon ADS API. ADS backups, multi-as and read replicas. 2 different types of ROADS backups. Automated backups and snapshots. Automated backups allow you to recover your DB to any point in time within the retention period of 35 days. An automated backup is a full daily snapshot, plus transaction logs throughout the day. By restoring the most recent daily backup plus transaction logs, it is possible to restore to any point down to a second within the retention period. Automated backups are on by default, and stored in S3. Storage is free up to the size of your DB. Backups are taken within a window, and during the backup storage I/O may be suspended. Latency may also be elevated. Snapshots are point in time and manual. They are stored even after the ADS instance is deleted, unlike automated backups. When you select to delete an ADS instance, you will be asked if you want to take a final snapshot. Whenever you restore a database from automated backup or snapshot, the restored version will be a new ADS instance with a new DNS endpoint. Encryption at rest is available for MySQL, Oracle, SQL Server, PostgreSQL, MariaDB and Aurora using the AWS Key Management Service. Once the AWS instance is encrypted, the data stored in underlying storage is encrypted, as are automated backups, read replicas and snapshots. Multi-AS allows you to have an exact copy of your production DB in another AS. All changes are simultaneously replicated to the standby DB in another AS. In the event of primary failure, AWS will automatically fail over to the standby without admin intervention. Multi-AS is for resiliency and Docker only, not performance. Available for SQL, Oracle, MySQL, PostgreSQL, MariaDB. Aurora has its own fault tolerance by design. Multi-AS may make your DB slower, and do it in a scheduled maintenance window. A read replica is one or more copies of a production DB, which are kept in sync with the production DB. You can have read replicas of read replicas, watch for latency, and the read replica can be promoted to a standalone DB, though that breaks replication. Read replicas allow you to keep read-only copies of production DBs to improve the performance of read-heavy workloads by distributing connections to them. Available for Oracle, MySQL, PostgreSQL, MariaDB. Aurora. Read replicas are for scaling, not Docker. Automatic backups are required to deploy a read replica. You can have up to 5 read replica copies of any DB. Each read replica will have its own DNS endpoint. You can have read replicas with multi-AS, and can have read replicas in a second region. Easy way to migrate to Aurora: just take a read replica to Aurora from the Actions menu. You can force multi-AS failover by rebooting with failover. Read replica has a master and a replica. The replica can be promoted to a primary. Dynamodb is a fast and flexible NoSQL solution for applications that need consistent and single-digit latency at any scale. Fully managed, and supports both document and key-value data models. The flexible data model make it a great fit for mobile, web, gaming, AdTech, IoT and many others. Dynamodb is stored on SSD, spread across 3 geographically distinct data centers. 2 modes of operation: eventually consistent reads as default, or strongly consistent reads. Eventual consistent reads see consistency across all copies of data usually within a second. Repeating a read after a short time should return the updated data, best read performance. Strongly consistent reads return results that reflect all writes that received a successful response prior to the read. If your app is okay with 1 second lag with update, eventual is sufficient. Redshift is Amazon's fast and powerful data warehousing service in the cloud. Start from as little as 25 cents per hour with no upfront cost or commitment, and scale to a petabyte or more for $1,000 per terabyte per year. Much cheaper than most other solutions. Olap, online analytics processing, multiple queries against different datasets, plus calculations. Redshift can be configured as a single node up to 160 GB, or multi-node. Multi-node has a leader node to manage client connections and receive queries, and the compute nodes store data and perform the queries and computations. You can have up to 128 compute nodes. Redshift uses columnar compression, making it more efficient and able to compress more owing to the sequential nature of the storage. Redshift does not require indexes or materialized views, so uses less space. Redshift will automatically select the most appropriate compression scheme based on samples of data. Massively parallel processing, MPP. Redshift automatically distributes data and query load across all nodes. Redshift makes it easy to add nodes to your data warehouse and enables you to maintain fast query performance as data grows. Redshift backups are enabled by default with a 1-day retention. Backups can be retained up to 35 days. Redshift will always attempt to maintain at least 3 copies of your data, the original and a replica on the compute nodes and a backup in S3. Redshift can also replicate backups in S3 to another region for drive. Redshift is priced on compute node hours, 1 unit per node per hour. Not charged for leader node. Also charged for backups and data transfer within a VPC. Comms with Redshift are always SSL, and data at rest is always ICE 256. By default, it manages the keys, though HSMs or the key management service can also be used. Redshift is only available in one AS, but it can be restored to another in the event of failure. Amazon Aurora. Aurora is a MySQL and PostgreSQL compatible relational database engine that combines the speed and availability of high-end commercial databases with the simplicity and cost-effectiveness of open-source databases. Up to 5x better performance than MySQL, 3x better than PostgreSQL at a much lower price with similar availability. Aurora starts with 10 GB and scales in 10 GB increments to 64 TB with storage auto-scaling. Compute can scale to 32 GB and 244 GB of memory. 2 copies of your data is contained in each availability zone with a minimum of 3 availability zones. 6 copies of the data. Aurora is designed to handle 2 data copy failures without impact to write, and up to 3 with no impact to read. Aurora storage is also self-healing, data blocks and disks are continuously scanned for errors and repaired automatically. 3 types of Aurora replica. Aurora replicas, you can have 15, MySQL replicas, of which you can have 5, and PostgreSQL which is currently limited to 1. These are red replicas. Aurora replicas are more performant in all respects. Aurora can only have replicas within a region, where MySQL replicas can be in different regions. Aurora is also guaranteed against data loss in failover. Automated failover is only available with Aurora replicas. Automated backups always enabled on Aurora. You can also take snapshot, both without impact on performance. Snapshots can be shared with other accounts. Aurora Serverless is an on-demand auto-scaling configuration for the MySQL-compatible and PostgreSQL-compatible editions of Aurora. An Aurora Serverless DB cluster automatically starts up, shuts down and scales capacity as required based on application needs. Fantastic for infrequent, intermittent or unpredictable workloads. Cost is only incurred when the instance is active, so if you need high performance at a low cost, look at Aurora Serverless. You can create an Aurora read replica from an AWS database, then promote the replica to complete the migration to Aurora. You can also take a snapshot of a database, and restore it to Aurora. Elasticache is a web service that makes it easy to deploy, operate and scale an in-memory cache in the cloud. The service improves the performance of web applications by allowing retrieval of information from fast in-memory caches, instead of relying entirely on slower disk-based databases. Available backed by Memcached or Redis. Memcached is simple and scales horizontally for improved performance. Redis offers advanced data types, rank and sort, publishing and subscribing, multiple ASes, persistence and backup/restore options.